Some big news this morning as tech giant Apple is unveiling a redesigned store this morning outside the world's tallest building in Dubai. The company is also announcing new educational sessions that will launch next month in all its stores, called Today at Apple. The updates are the work of a team led by Apple's highest-ranking female executive. Angela Ahrendts became Apple's senior vice president of retail in 2014 after working as CEO of Burberry. She has overseen the store's most significant redesign since they opened around 15 years ago. Apple CEO Tim Cook calls her wicked smart, and the 56-year-old took us inside Apple's updated stores in New York. In a rare TV interview you'll see only on CBS This Morning, she explains how the world's most valuable company sees the future of retail. I was thinking about this because this is the first big redesign in 15 years. And it was Steve Jobs and Ron Johnson who did the first design of the Apple stores. Did that weigh on you? Oh my gosh, following in Steve Jobs' footsteps here.
I think that anything you do at Apple, you feel a tremendous onus. You want to carry on the legacy of what it meant. The main objective, our soul is our people, and our job is to enrich their lives, change the world. And so I think that's the bigger pressure you put on yourself.
This is our store.
It was in 2001 that the world got its first look inside an Apple store.
We're so excited about this.
But now the look and the feel of the stores is changing, thanks to Angela Ahrendts.
We have a screen like this in 100 stores.
Senior Vice President of Apple Retail.
So how will we see the stores change?
Probably the simplest way to describe it, because everything at Apple has to be simple. The way that we kind of talk about it inside, we say this is the largest product that Apple produces. So if you think of it, the hardware, which is the architecture of the store, the software is what happens in the store and how we basically turn on Apple Music and the App Store. So we started with the hardware.
In 100 of its biggest stores, like this San Francisco flagship, Apple's hardware update means new screens and spaces for meetings and classes. The Genius Bar, now lined with trees, becomes the Genius Grove. And there's a more dimensional take on the Genius. New staffers specialized in music and photography called creative pros.
Look at my face. Is the idea that the store will have all of these listed classes, teachers, experiences that will be publicly posted that will draw more and more people in?
Absolutely. So we call the software of the store that we're launching the end of May, we call that Today at Apple.
That software will roll out across Apple's nearly 500 stores, many of which will be changed literally overnight. Ahrendts calls it an effort to create town squares where customers engage with their devices and their communities.
A lot of the big online guys have said they're opening stores. Amazon's investing in stores, Google's investing in stores. Starbucks figured it out, being a gathering place for, meet me at Starbucks. And, and I've told the teams, I'll know we've done a really, really great job if the next generation of Gen Z says, meet me at Apple. Did you see what's going on at Apple today?
Does that apply to Android and Samsung users too?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And we have an incredible trade-up program
Apple isn't exactly strapped for cash, having set a revenue record of almost $80 billion this fiscal year. But Ahrendts insists the in-store experience isn't cheapened just because there are products for sale.
This is a little bit of a harder question, but I know you've thought so much about this. Can you foster a sense of community at the same time having a commercial objective?
Yeah, I thought a lot about it. And I would argue it's kind of what Apple's always done anyway. I think we've always been this energy hub, if you will. We're just empowering the teams to take it so much further.
Sales of iPhones and Mac computers have been strong in 2017, but there was a little bit of a dip in 2016. And some people speculated, well, Apple's at the end of its product line, and the store redesign is just window dressing. How do you respond to that?
Yeah, I'd respond they probably don't really know the company that well. It's, each of the businesses that Apple has are so big. Tim talks a lot during the earnings calls on the service business and how rapidly that's growing. And, and that's the part really we had never been able to unlock in retail before.
It was at Burberry that Ahrendts first merged retail with online shopping, tripling company stock and prompting Tim Cook to call London from Cupertino.
I told Tim this as we were interviewing. I said, I am not a techie, like wrong person, and he very politely said, I think we have a lot of those. And
So why did he want you if you're not a techie?
I think what it came down to, honestly, because the teams are so big and so global, I think that a lot of it had to do with leadership.
I read that part of the reason that he hired you was because of your ability to motivate people. How do you motivate people?
You don't overthink it, right? Do unto others. I mean, you connect with them and you care and you do what you say you're going to do. I mean, it's not rocket science.
Ahrendts says it's her Midwestern upbringing as one of 6 children raised in New Palestine, Indiana, that keeps her humble, even as she's become one of the highest paid executives at Apple and in the country.
Steve Jobs was famously empathetic. I've heard you say empathy is one of the greatest creators of energy. What role has it played in your success?
I mean, again, I think huge. My dad used to always say, I can teach you anything, but I can't teach you to feel. I can't teach you to care. And I think when you're empathetic, you're putting yourself in somebody else's shoes. It's not about you. There's 7 billion people on the planet. It's not about you. I think that when you're empathetic to someone, they open up to you, right? They don't get defensive. And when they open up, you're both open, and then you can dream and you can, come up with incredible things together. And
it unlocks a lot of things. Mm-hmm. Think about that. Empathy is one of the greatest creators of energy.
Great words to govern by, to manage by, to live by.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Emotional intelligence.
Yeah. Also, the retail piece of that is totally fascinating. As brick and mortar loses ground to online retailers, online and .com retailers are looking at brick and mortar. That Apple story is fascinating.
Yeah. You did a big piece on Apple,
right.
2 big pieces for 60 Minutes.
You
know how much Tim Cook
loved her.
Loved her.
Really went over there to seduce her, to bring her back to California.
Yeah, to get her to leave Burberry.
Thought she was the best retail brain out there.
Yeah. And now we're seeing it in fruition.
Yeah.
Now, yes, you can see more of our interview with Angela Ahrendts, including why she has never taken any job for the money, on our website, cbsthismorning.com.